You are looking at a photograph taken in August 1910. A young boy, about 7 years old, stands alone in what looks like the front yard of a Victorian-style house. He wears a formal sailor outfit and holds a large black umbrella, even though the photo was clearly taken on a bright and sunny day. At first look, the image feels like a sweet Edwardian portrait. A well-dressed child stands still, posing seriously for the camera, just as children often did at that time. But in 2024, a historical photo restorer digitally enhanced this image. She zoomed in on details hidden by 114 years of damage, fading, and wear. What she discovered made her contact the FBI right away. This was not only a picture of a young boy holding an umbrella, this was the final photograph ever taken of a child who vanished 3 hours later and was never seen again. If you want to learn what the restoration revealed about the boy's fate, why this photograph held evidence police missed in 1910, and how this image finally solved a mystery that lasted 114 years, hit the like button and subscribe right now. In March 2024, photo conservator Dr. Linda Chen received a strange package at her studio in Portland, Oregon. Inside, she found a badly damaged photograph discovered during the demolition of an abandoned house in Salem, Massachusetts. The house, located at 412 Wickham Street, had been empty since 1952. When demolition crews started tearing the building down, they uncovered a hidden compartment behind a false wall in the basement. Inside that space sat a single photograph in a wooden frame, carefully hidden away. The photo showed a young boy, around 7 years old, standing alone in front of a Victorian house. He wore a white sailor suit with a navy blue collar and held a large black umbrella. The image was in terrible condition. Water damage, heavy fading, foxing and mold covered most of the surface, but the basic scene remained visible. On the back of the photograph, written in faint pencil, appeared one short message. Benjamin Ward, August 14, 1910. Gone by sunset. God help us all. The demolition company contacted local historians. They identified the house in the photo as the original structure that once stood at 412 Wickham Street, the same house where the picture had been hidden. Records showed the Ward family lived there from 1905 to 1911. That discovery led historians to old newspaper articles. The Salem Daily Register, August 15, 1910, ran a headline, "Local child vanishes in broad daylight. 7-year-old Benjamin Ward missing since Sunday afternoon. Police baffled by disappearance." The article stated that Benjamin Ward, age 7, disappeared on August 14, 1910, sometime between 2 p.m. and 5 p.m. He had been playing in the front yard of his family's home at 412 Wickham Street when he vanished. His mother, Alice Ward, told police she stayed inside preparing dinner. Around 2:15 p.m., she looked out the window and saw Benjamin playing in the yard. When she called him inside for supper at 5 p.m., he was gone. There were no witnesses, no screams, no signs of a struggle, no trace of the child anywhere. The Salem Daily Register, August 22, 1910, reported, "Search for missing boy continues. Week-long investigation yields no clues. Family offers $500 reward." Police searched nearby streets, surrounding woods, and the river. They questioned neighbors, strangers seen in the area, and traveling salesmen passing through town. They found nothing. Benjamin Ward had simply disappeared. Another article appeared in the Salem Daily Register on September 10, 1910. Ward family departs. Salem parents of missing child leave home. "We cannot bear to stay," mother says. 3 weeks after Benjamin vanished, his parents left their home and moved away from Salem. They never returned. The house stood empty for years, later rented to different tenants, and eventually abandoned in the 1950s. Benjamin Ward was never found. The case remained unsolved, and for 114 years, no one knew the Ward family had hidden a photograph in their basement before leaving town. A photograph taken on the same day Benjamin disappeared, just hours before he was gone. Dr. Chen received the job of restoring the photograph so historians could examine it more closely. The damage was severe. Water stains, extreme fading, heavy foxing, tears, and missing emulsion covered much of the image. The boy was visible, but fine details were almost impossible to see. The restoration process took 3 months. Dr. Chen used advanced digital tools, AI-assisted repair, and high-resolution scanning to recover details lost for more than a century. When she finally opened the restored file and studied it at high magnification, she saw details that sent a chill through her body. The photograph showed more than a boy holding an umbrella. It showed exactly what happened to Benjamin Ward. It proved his disappearance was not what anyone believed. When Dr. Chen zoomed in on Benjamin's face, his hands, his clothes, the umbrella, the shadows, and the ground, she found evidence that Benjamin knew exactly what was about to happen to him. She saw proof that he left a message inside this photograph and proof that explained where he went after he vanished. In the damaged original image, Benjamin's face was badly obscured by fading and water damage. You could see the outline of a child and basic facial features, but his expression was lost. The restoration changed everything. When Dr. Chen enhanced the facial details, she saw that Benjamin was not staring at the camera with the calm, serious look common in Edwardian photos. He looked at the camera with pure terror. Dr. Chen contacted Dr. Marcus Reed, a forensic psychologist who specializes in reading facial expressions in historical photographs and crime images. His analysis disturbed everyone involved. Benjamin's eyes opened wider than normal, showing visible white above and below the irises. This reaction matched a classic fear response. His pupils were greatly dilated, appearing as large dark circles, a physical reaction to extreme stress. Most importantly, his eyes did not focus on the camera lens. They focused slightly to the left of it, toward the person taking the photograph. Dr. Reed described the look as pleading. His eyebrows lifted and pulled together in the center, creating deep vertical lines, a universal sign of fear and distress. Benjamin's mouth did not rest in a neutral position. It stood slightly open, his lips parted and trembling. The long exposure caused a faint blur around his mouth. The corners pulled downward, and the muscles in his jaw showed clear tension. This was not a calm child posing for a picture. Dr. Reed wrote in his report, "This child shows every physical sign of acute fear and emotional distress. This reaction goes beyond normal childhood discomfort. This is a child experiencing terror, forced to stand still, trying to communicate fear through his expression." The most disturbing discovery came when Dr. Chen examined Benjamin's eyes at the highest level of magnification. Inside his dilated pupils, reflected on the glossy surface, appeared two tiny images. They showed the figures standing behind the camera. Dr. Chen isolated and enhanced these reflections using forensic software. The images appeared small and distorted but clear enough to identify. Two adults stood side by side behind the camera, both facing Benjamin, based on the clothing visible in the reflectio. A long dress and a suit. They appeared to be his parents. They stood close together, taking the photograph as a pair. Their position suggested they did not stand casually, they blocked something. Optical specialists studied the reflections and reached a clear conclusion. Benjamin's parents stood on either side of the front door, blocking the entrance. Benjamin did not stand in the yard because the day felt perfect for a portrait. He stood there because his parents prevented him from going back inside the house. His fear did not come from normal nerves. It came from knowing he was being kept outside for a reason. This was a child who sensed something terrible would happen, a child who tried to tell anyone who might see the image in the future, "They will not let me come inside. Please help me." Dr. Chen examined the date written on the photo, August 14, 1910. The note did not include a time, but the angle of the shadows showed the photo was taken in the early afternoon between 2 and 2:30 p.m. Benjamin was reported missing between 2:15 p.m. when his mother last saw him and 5 p.m. when she called him for dinner. This photograph was taken minutes before he disappeared, and his parents took it. Dr. Chen made another discovery when she enhanced the umbrella Benjamin held. The umbrella was large, made for an adult, far too big for a 7-year-old boy. Benjamin gripped it with both hands. The restoration revealed details invisible in the damaged original. His small hands squeezed the handle with extreme force. His knuckles appeared pale, even in black and white, showing lighter tones against his skin. This grip did not look casual. It looked desperate, like someone holding on for safety. He did not hold the umbrella loosely at his side. He held it directly in front of his body, raised to chest height, almost like a shield. This position matched the way a person protects themselves. When Dr. Chen magnified the umbrella fabric, she noticed something unusual. The damage did not come from age or photo decay. The umbrella itself showed harm. Several light-colored streaks and spots appeared across the black fabric. She sent high-resolution scans to textile forensics expert Dr. Patricia Yamamoto, who specialized in analyzing fabrics in historical photographs. Dr. Yamamoto's report shocked everyone involved. The streaks and discoloration matched exposure to a harsh chemical, possibly lye, chlorine solution, or another strong alkaline substance. The pattern suggested the umbrella shielded someone from splashes or came into direct contact with such material. The damage appeared fresh at the time of the photograph, likely occurring within hours or days before it was taken. Dr. Chen then began researching how people used these chemicals in 1910. The most common household use involved cleaning products, especially for deep cleaning, disinfecting, or breaking down organic material. But there was something else about the umbrella that disturbed Dr. Chen even more. When she studied the shadow the umbrella cast on the ground, she realized the shadow looked wrong. The shadow should have appeared as a simple, long oval shape, the outline of a closed umbrella. Instead, the shadow showed uneven bulges and strange protrusions along its length. It looked as if something had been wrapped around or attached to the umbrella shaft beneath the fabric. Dr. Chen consulted a physics professor who specialized in shadow analysis. He confirmed that the shadow indicated something cylindrical or rope-like wrapped around the umbrella shaft, creating the irregular shape seen in the shadow. He estimated the object measured about 1 to 2 inches in diameter and had been wound around the shaft several times. Dr. Chen then magnified the area where Benjamin's hands gripped the umbrella. Beneath his fingers, barely visible, appeared something wrapped around the handle. It looked like rope or thick cord. When she examined Benjamin's wrists in the enhanced image, she saw something that made her contact law enforcement immediately. Faint straight marks appeared on both wrists, visible as lighter lines against his skin. These marks matched rope burns or ligature marks. The injuries looked recent. The skin appeared slightly scraped and irritated. Benjamin Ward held an umbrella exposed to harsh chemicals, rope wrapped around its shaft. Fresh rope marks showed on his wrists. This was not a harmless prop for a sweet photograph. This was evidence. Evidence of what had already happened to him, and evidence of what was about to happen next. Dr. Chen made her most disturbing discovery when she enhanced the ground beneath Benjamin's feet. In the damaged original image, the yard looked normal. Grass, patches of dirt, nothing unusual. But the restored image revealed something that should not have been there. When enhanced, the soil around Benjamin's feet looked freshly disturbed, while the rest of the yard showed healthy grass growth. The area where Benjamin stood formed a rectangle about 4 feet by 6 feet. This patch showed bare soil with a different color and texture than the surrounding ground. Dr. Chen sent the enhanced images to Dr. Robert Martinez, a forensic archaeologist who specialized in ground disturbances in historical photos and crime scenes. His response came quickly and raised alarm. The area visible in the photograph showed clear signs of recent digging and refilling. The soil color, texture, and compression did not match the undisturbed ground nearby. The rectangular shape and visible soil layers suggested a pit dug at least 4 to 5 feet deep, then refilled within days or no more than 1 or 2 weeks before the photograph. The size matched what people commonly call a grave. Benjamin Ward stood on freshly refilled earth, on top of a rectangular pit dug only days earlier. A pit shaped exactly like a grave. But what horrified Dr. Chen most appeared at the edges of this disturbed soil. When she magnified the border between the loose earth and the grass, she noticed something partially visible at the surface, something not fully covered by dirt. It looked white, smooth and curved. Dr. Chen sent extreme close-up images to forensic anthropologist Dr. Helen Kowalski. Her reply arrived within an hour. She stated that while she could not make a final conclusion from a photograph alone, the object visible at the surface appeared consistent with human bone. Specifically, it could be part of a skull or a large bone from an adult or an older child. The size, curve, color, and shape all matched bone. If the object was bone, it meant remains were buried there and not fully concealed, leaving part exposed at ground level. Dr. Chen reviewed the enhanced image again, this time focusing on Benjamin's feet and the position of the umbrella tip. Benjamin stood at the very edge of the disturbed earth, not in the center. His feet looked carefully placed, as if he avoided stepping fully onto the refilled soil. The tip of the umbrella touched the ground right next to the partially visible white object, almost as if Benjamin pointed toward it on purpose. Dr. Chen consulted child psychologist Dr. Amanda Foster, an expert in childhood trauma and how children express distress. Dr. Foster's analysis was clear. If this child knew or suspected that human remains lay beneath the ground where he stood, and if the same people who buried those remains forced him to pose for this photograph, he would experience extreme psychological fear. Standing at the edge instead of the center suggests Ted avoidance. He did not want to stand over what was buried there. The umbrella tip placed beside the exposed object could be coincidence, or it could represent a child's attempt to draw attention, a silent way of saying, "Look here. Look at what they did." Someone had dug a grave in the Ward family's front yard. Someone buried a body there. Someone refilled the soil in a hurry, leaving bone visible. Then someone forced 7-year-old Benjamin Ward to stand on that grave and pose for a photograph. Hours before Benjamin vanished forever, Dr. Chen gathered her findings and contacted the FBI Cold Case Unit and the Salem Police Department. Detective James Morrison took the case. He accessed the original 1910 investigation files and uncovered information hidden in archives for 114 years. The Ward family had not always consisted of 3 people. Birth records showed Alice and Thomas Ward had 2 children, Benjamin, born in 1903, and an older daughter, Margaret, born in 1899. Census records from 1910 listed only 3 household members, Thomas, Alice, and Benjamin. Margaret Ward did not appear. Detective Morrison found a death certificate dated July 1910, 1 month before Benjamin disappeared. It listed Margaret Louise Ward, age 11. Cause of death stated acute respiratory failure due to influenza. The attending doctor was Dr. Howard Mills. The certificate listed burial in the Ward family plot at Greenlawn Cemetery. When Detective Morrison contacted the cemetery, he made a shocking discovery. No one named Margaret Ward had been buried there. No Ward family plot existed. No burial record from July 1910 matched her name. The death certificate was genuine, but the burial never occurred. Detective Morrison obtained a court order to excavate the property at 412 Wickham Street. Forensic teams used ground-penetrating radar and detected an anomaly in the front yard, exactly where Benjamin stood in the photograph. They excavated with care. 4 feet down they found human remains, a female child estimated age 10 to 12 buried in a crude grave. Forensic testing confirmed the remains dated back about 114 years, matching a burial in 1910. The cause of death showed blunt force trauma to the skull. Multiple fractures indicated repeated blows from a heavy object. This was not influenza, this was murder. Margaret Ward did not die from illness. Her parents beat her to death and buried her in their front yard. They obtained a false death certificate, claimed a cemetery burial, and told no one the truth. 7-year-old Benjamin witnessed what happened to his sister. Detective Morrison found one more document in the Ward family's archived papers. A letter from Alice Ward to her sister dated August 13, 1910, 1 day before Benjamin was photographed. The letter read that Thomas insisted they must deal with Benjamin the same way they dealt with Margaret. The boy saw everything. He knew what happened to his sister and threatened to tell. They could not risk exposure. Thomas believed they had no choice. Alice wrote that she prayed for guidance and received none. She wrote that they would do what must be done the next day and ask God for forgiveness. She asked her sister to burn the letter. The letter had not been destroyed. It remained hidden as proof of intent. On August 14, 1910, Benjamin Ward stood on top of his sister's grave while his parents photographed him. The umbrella showed chemical stains, likely from cleaning tools used to remove blood. The rope around the umbrella shaft likely came from restraints. The marks on his wrists showed he had already been bound. The photograph was taken around 2 p.m., sometime between then and 5 p.m. Thomas and Alice Ward murdered their 7-year-old son, likely in the same way they murdered their daughter, and buried him somewhere unknown. They hid the photograph in the basement because it served as evidence of their crimes. Then they left Salem and vanished into history. Benjamin Ward's remains have never been found. Ground-penetrating radar scanned the entire property and nearby land, but no second grave appeared. Still, his photograph remains a 114-year-old message from a child who knew he would die. A child forced to pose for a final photograph on top of his sister's grave. A child who tried desperately to leave clues about what was happening to him. That photograph from 1910 was not a sweet portrait of a boy with an umbrella. It was a crime scene image taken by the killers themselves. It was a child's final attempt to communicate fear. It was evidence hidden in plain sight for more than a century. Benjamin Ward stood on his sister's grave. He held an umbrella contaminated with evidence. Rope marks showed on his wrists. He stared at the camera with pure terror. 3 hours later, he was dead. His parents killed both of their children and escaped justice for over 100 years, until modern technology finally revealed what Benjamin tried so hard to show us. Look what they did to my sister. Look what they are about to do to me.